Hey there, this is Derek Murphy. Today I'm going to try to make a new nonfiction book in an hour with ChatGPT and my YouTube videos. So ChatGPT is pretty awesome for outlining a nonfiction book. I could just give it a topic and tell it to write me an outline. That's not actually what we're going to do in this video, but I'll show you real quick how it works. There's also plugins now so it can connect to the internet and do research and stuff for you. So I might start with something like this. I want to write a book about X. I need all the most common search terms with high volume. This is something I might do keyword research on because I'm not sure if I trust ChatGPT for SEO, but they do have SEO plugins that would make it more useful. Once it has an outline, so for example, I let it go ahead and do this outline for me. This is a pretty decent outline to marketing. And then what I would do is just copy paste. Actually, I would say, can you make a stronger hook or headline for each of these categories? And then I would do each of these bit by bit to generate a longer piece of content or article, and then put it all together in a Word document. I don't actually use ChatGPT to write books, but I have been using it to edit, and that's kind of what we're going to talk more about today. But I also like the idea. This might take me a few hours to go through and generate all of this content. I would also want to make a really unique writing style. You can actually train ChatGPT-4 on your own writing. I've got a WordPress plugin called AI Power. If I go down here, I can actually train this plugin on all of the content on my blog, so it has my unique writing style. And I even set up a free chatbot on my website that knows all the content on my website and writes in my voice, hopefully, so people could just ask it questions and kind of interact with me. I also like pseudo-write for writing a book, but what I was going to say is that even if you're doing it in ChatGPT-4, you really should develop a unique style guide. So I would prompt it until it is able to replicate my voice. I might give it some articles or an introduction that I write myself, and then learn this style, write in this style. This is Derek Murphy's style. And then when I generate all of this content, I would keep a consistent voice that does not sound like ChatGPT-4 or AI. Now, I'm kind of interested in, maybe making this a short little extra book marketing guide, because one of the things I talk about in the 21-day bestselling platform course is to use stuff like SlideShare. So I could make a new little ebook. Maybe it's not my main book, but it's a little worksheet or guide. And I could upload the PDF or the PowerPoint to SlideShare or Scribed or 1,000 other document sites. And then inside of your PDFs, you can have active links to your other resources or your blog. So this is kind of a simple way that I'm giving a little bit of a boost to the SEO value of my blog post to try to get some more traffic. And you could write, some free short 10-page PDF or guide, best resources, best books, or whatever, upload it to a site like this, and then link back to your blog post with more details. But today I'm actually doing something different that you might not expect with ChatGPT-4, which is I'm actually going to use the content of my YouTube videos. So generally, in the past, I have spent a long time writing books, and then I might make some videos about some of the content in the books. But I have a new course that's a 21-day bestselling author platform that's got probably a few dozen hours of content. And then I started putting up some quick YouTube shorts and YouTube videos going through those 21 steps. These aren't as in-depth as the actual course materials. This is just kind of a quick introduction to all these topics. And I would like to have some kind of companion workbook or book that goes along with the course, but I don't really want to write it because I've made all these really long videos already. I just want to kind of get some content quickly. So the thing I'm going to do is I can go into each one of those videos and then I can turn it into text with a free tool that converts YouTube videos into text. This is actually something I probably figured out a year ago. This website I'm going to show you that I discovered. And I was in Thailand maybe 2 or 3 years ago and thinking about, how can I boost conversion on my online funnels to make more passive income? And I made like an hour-long video, and then I used this website to convert my hour-long video into content. And I was amazed because it worked really well. And I had this article that was like 20 or 30,000 words of content from a 1-hour video that's almost like an ebook. So the problem was it was an absolute mess. If you've ever tried like transcribing your dictation, then you get a lot of no formatting, no punctuation, a lot of ums and weird stuff. So this wasn't really useful until recently. I was playing with ChatGPT 4 and I could just say, can you clean this up and edit it? ChatGPT 4 works really, really good for editing very rough material, whether it's something that's been, dictated or transcribed from a YouTube video or translated from a non-native speaker. You might have a lot of text that's good content, it's just not clean enough to use. So this is the site that I used, I think, a year ago. It's still the same one that I recommend. I've looked, if you Google best YouTube transcription services, I found a bunch you have to register to. This one seems like it's still free, so I just put in the YouTube link there, and then it'll just give me the content. This first video was only like 1 minute and 20 seconds, so there's not a lot here. It's just a short introduction. And I'm just going to copy paste that and then go through each of the videos. I'm just going to copy paste them into Word right now. I'd probably go back. I want to make sure I put them in the right place, so it's going to be easier later. So for formatting, I usually use Word, where I'll just choose an H1 style, and then it'll show up over here in my navigation pane. And I might even, pre-build this out a little bit by adding chapter 1, chapter 2, and then I can keep track of where I am. It'll go a little bit faster. So I put in about 6 chapters, and just to make this a little faster, I'm just going to copy paste this down here and then rewrite these. There's actually 21 chapters, but here's about the first half. I'm just going to do that real quick. I've already built a playlist on YouTube, so I can go through these pretty quickly. And I'll just copy the link to the video and put it over here in this free tool. And then I get my massive wall of text here. So I'll copy that into my Word file. So I've gone through and added about half the content. I'm down to chapter 11. You can see it's already at 37,000 words. And these are just my short videos. They're, 10 or 15 minutes. My actual course, where each of the video is like an hour long, that kind of content, like it would make a book that's like 200,000 or 300,000 words, which is crazy, although ChatGPT 4 is pretty good at condensing and summarizing. I don't want to summarize too much, but we're going to go into ChatGPT 4 and start editing this content. So it's amazing that on the one hand, the tool I used to transcribe the video, it did a pretty good job of actually getting all the right words. It just has no punctuation. So that's, would be a nightmare to edit yourself. But GPT-4 will do a pretty good job. This is not like this menu we generated earlier. That's not actually what I'm going to be feeding into it, but I'm just going to stay in the same thread. I told it that I wanted to clean up the style, fix the punctuation and grammar. Don't summarize too much. Keep the tone casual and down to earth. Like Derek Murphy at creativity.com. It probably is not going to know this unless, because it's been trained up to 2001, I've been blogging for a long time, so it might get my style pretty close just with this prompt. But I could also use some of the plugins to connect to internet and give it some of my articles. Or I could copy paste a few examples of my writing style down here and get it to train the style. I do have an article on Creative Indie about the best ChatGPT prompts for authors, which is going to be really huge, but it's not quite done yet. It will be soon. If you are writing fiction, it can be a lot harder to train the style, so you might need some pretty smart writing prompts to get the style the way that you want it, or to get the generated content the way that you like it. But this is just kind of a simple proofreading job, so I'm not too worried. I'm going to add this little prompt. Please edit and proofread this. Keep the voice and style, but make it smoother and more engaging. I've found that one works pretty well for me. And then I would just copy paste that dump of words that I had gotten from transcribing. I had to relog in, so I'm actually just going to use this simple prompt and my content. That first try didn't really work very well because it kind of made the language, a little bit weird. Quite frankly, for example, that doesn't sound like me at all. So I tried the longer prompt that I did before. I can also sometimes just say try again without pasting in the same text again. This second one's pretty interesting because this also doesn't sound like me, but it's also pretty good copywriting. It's a lot more engaging and creative and interesting than my normal talking voice. So as an ebook, it might work well. I would have to go back and edit this a lot because I refer to, the videos that I'm making for YouTube. So I would have to, I could probably just tell it, remove the mentions of YouTube and convert them into talking about a book or something. But I have a feeling I'm just going to have to go back and manually edit this. I like to give positive reinforcement, so I just said, great, please do it again for the first chapter. Sometimes you're going to have to add in the style prompt again because it'll forget over time, but hopefully it'll just kind of remember to do it in the same way. So this was the first main chapter, and it's quite a bit of content. It's summarized quite a bit, so I might want to tell it, do not summarize. So I could try altering the style, or I could say don't summarize or remove my examples. For example, I had, in this wall of text, I had some examples about pricing and clicks and advertising and things that I just took out because it just summarized it. Because this is a real chapter, I'm also going to say add a bullet point summary at the end. I don't know if this would work or if it would work better after this chapter was generated, if I just did this one prompt on its own. And interestingly, this one, it kept that unique style, which was pretty strong writing, I felt like. And now that I told it not to summarize or remove my examples, just clean it up, now it's a little bit closer to my original speech pattern, but it's not quite as engaging because, I don't talk the way that I would write a book. It did give me a very nice chapter summary down here, though, with some of the main points. I think those are great for nonfiction books to add to the end. And I might later also add like a list of links to resources that I would put inside the book. And then I could upload the PDF to SlideShare like I showed you earlier to get some of those backlinks. Now that I found something that kind of works, I'm going to go ahead and use this prompt for each of the chapters as I go through because I think that works pretty well. I got a little bit stuck on the third chapter. It started doing a weird thing down here and repeating itself with the article, probably because I didn't really check this wall of text, but it's not absolutely perfect. So there's a couple of mistakes in here that maybe confused it. So for example, here was a basic serif or sans serif font, but it messed all of that up. So maybe it just got confused, or maybe there was like a punctuation issue that messed it up. It would probably be helpful to go through and edit some of this to make sure it's, close to right. But also, it takes so much work to edit a wall of text like this. I'd rather just let GPT-4 try its best. But this time, for some reason, it summarized it a lot, like way too much, and then got straight into the pointers. It has it summarized a lot of my content, and then gave me a summary also. So this isn't quite as smooth of a process as I had intended, but once you get it down, then you can go through all the chapters pretty quickly. So here, this time I said, it made me another version, which was not terrible. This one's pretty good, but it's still removing a lot of my content. So it's sort of a balance between, do you rewrite it and make it more engaging and tighter, or do you just clean it up? I've had some luck with telling it to give me a light-handed edit, so it doesn't edit so much. This time it's doing a much better job of getting all of my words and just cleaning up and adding punctuation and formatting. So this is so much cleaner than the wall of text, but it's also pretty much exactly what I said before in the video. What you probably want to do is generate a few versions. Like I might have one that has a really stylistic intro and outro, but then I want something that, gets all of the things that I talked about in the video as well. And I'm still going to need to edit this quite a bit, but here's chapter 3. This was the original wall of text straight from the video. I'm going to delete that. Sometimes GPT-4 will also put in some weird formatting stuff, so you should know a little bit about how to add styles and remove weird formatting when you get ready to publish. If you drop this into like a text document first, it would get rid of the formatting, or if you upload it to something like Vellum for book formatting, it'd probably remove some of the weird stuff. I try to format in Word and then convert. But that's the basic process. I don't even know if this is necessarily the best way to write a book, because I think if you just made the outline in ChatGPT-4 and then created all the new material, it would be a lot more streamlined. But because I also want this to be, my book and my companion guide to the videos, I'm just using my videos to get the text and then cleaning it up and editing it. I still am pretty impressed that I can turn a YouTube video into this quality of content, where it's basically got all the same words that I use, but it's a little bit better written. It's a lot more organized and a lot cleaner. I like generating the takeaway points, the bullet point list at the end of the chapters. So this entire process might take longer than an hour, but I would guess, 2 or 3 hours a day for sure, where I've already got all the videos. I'm just transcribing the videos with this transcription site, which is Antiago. It's a Spanish site, but it's free and open and works really well. And then I'm using ChatGPT as an editor just to clean it up and organize. This probably isn't a book that I would put up on Amazon. I feel like it's a little light because these are just kind of short introduction videos. They're not the full complete course, which would be way too much text and way too much detail for a book. But it will make a pretty nice little companion ebook that I can give to people. Maybe I could make it a perma-free book on Amazon if I wanted. That's not a terrible idea. I could publish each of these 21 steps as a blog post, and each of them would link to an opt-in page where they could download this free ebook. So this is something where it's not really worth it to write this book from scratch because I've already made all the videos, but it is worth it to take a day and turn my YouTube series into a very high quality readable book. So the last part is formatting. I use DIY book formats. So I actually don't really use Microsoft Word anymore. This is a site where you can get free tutorials and templates about how to format your book. But formatting a book in Microsoft Word is kind of just bare bones minimum. You need to kind of learn a little bit, but it's not really the best way to format a book. I also mostly use Vellum. Vellum is the best looking solution for book and ebook formatting. So depending, if I'm giving this away on, Kindle or something, then I would need an EPUB. But if this is going to be mostly a PDF extra that I give away on my site, that's a little different because then I want it to be really well designed and look pretty good. So there's things I can do with Microsoft Word formatting to make it look like a nicely designed ebook. I could also do something with canva.com, or I could hire someone on Fiverr just to turn my, quick book into a workbook. The difference is a PDF would be, more pictures, more engaging, more style, which I might do to kind of match the course and brand it a little bit. Maybe that's something that I will hire out later. So I do have all these videos on my channel that you can go through. I think I'm up to 15. I've got to get through to number 21, and then I'll finish this little ebook. Probably what I'll do is I'll go back on all of these videos. I don't really have a strong call to action right now, but I'll probably put one of those tags up here, which are called cards on YouTube. So I would say something like get the free book for this series. So I'd have these 21 videos on YouTube and the 21 shorts, and then I would have links for them to go to an opt-in page or a landing page where they could download the book, the guide. And then maybe, once they're on an email list, I would give them a really high value email autoresponder series. Or I could also put it out perma-free on Amazon and iBooks and all the other platforms. I probably wouldn't charge for this particular book because I'm doing it pretty quickly. So if I like my books to be, really solid and really meaty, it's going to be, 60 or 70,000 words probably, which is a pretty decent ebook. But I'm not sure if I'd feel comfortable charging for it because I didn't really spend enough time editing it and checking everything over. But if you have been stuck on writing a book, sometimes it's easier just to talk through things. You could do a lot of research and a lot of outlining with ChatGPT-4 just to kind of start getting things together. I do have a lot of resources on Creative Indie for outlining or plotting your fiction or nonfiction books. That's also useful. But sometimes it's easier to talk than it is to write. So if you if you're writing a memoir, if you're just trying to get a bunch of stories from your life together, or things that you know a lot about, but you don't want to sit down and write a book, or potentially for fiction. I personally have not really figured out how to talk fiction yet. I know I have a lot of friends who do dictation for writing novels, and that's not something I've succeeded at yet. But I do know that they can put out a lot more words because it's much faster to talk. So I have friends who write 10,000 words a day because they talk it out and then they use something to edit their dictation. ChatGPT 4 and other AI tools are better now at the editing than they've ever been before. But hopefully this process for writing a book where you speak a video and then edit it into a book, if that's useful for you, I hope leave a comment or share this video and let me know how things are going. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.